Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
John, we should probably let everybody know we're shutting this down. This is it. We're not even going to finish this episode. There's no reason to continue because I can't put myself through this kind of pain anymore. We're done. Dunzo.
Oh, boy. And that's how rough it is at the third of 7 Howling movies.
God damn it. Now, I know, or at least I am betting.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen past 2.
Same here. We've both seen the same amount of Howling continuity here.
But what I'm willing to bet is that none of the future ones take this as a template.
No.
I can only pray that's the case. This is the worst.
Yeah.
Frankenstein Island has some competition. This angered me. This made me really mad.
I think that's where I'm going to go. I don't know that I'm ready to call this the worst movie, but it is definitely the most infuriating movie we've watched, I think it is exactly right. This is the toughest sit, I think, maybe for me. Although, yeah. Boy,
what it's trying for, it doesn't get at.
Ooh.
I think it is trying to be comedic, but it's not funny, and it's a PG-13 Wolfman movie, so right away you're also kind of hampered there.
Yeah.
But it's just there's nothing in this I like. The only thing that this movie gave me is, and I didn't need further evidence of it, but I was sitting there going, "Gosh, Australia is beautiful."
Oh, sure.
Is the only thing I came away with from this movie.
I mean, this is 1987. And that's something else I was thinking when I was watching this. I'm going, this is a great time for Australian cinema, too. Like, you know, early to mid, I mean, all through the 80s, really. You've got guys like George Miller making Mad Max. You've got one of my favorites of this era from Australia, Road Games.
Road Games, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and we've already had Crocodile Dundee, which is evidenced by a line of dialogue in this.
Yeah. Good Lord, Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, but I mean this is sort of America's.
Paul Hogan was their legitimate big movie star.
And
besides,
the first Crocodile Dundee, I think, is perfectly delightful. They should have stopped right there.
Yeah,
but,
they should have.
I don't think we needed 2 more of those things, but yeah, this is kind of right smack in the middle of America's love affair with Australia. Dead Calm also around this time too. That's very good.
Dead Calm introducing Nicole. Well, not introducing, but Nicole Kidman's
did you see
first grown up.
Did you see the trivia for this?
No, I didn't.
Nicole Kidman was considered for the lead role in this movie.
Oh man!
Now she was better off doing Dead Calm.
Gotta eat.
Yeah, thank God she did Dead Calm though, and not this. Because
the lead actress in this is no actress. No one in this movie is an actor. They're all terrible.
I don't even have to look at their IMDb's to tell you that they're not actors. Jesus Christ.
But I could see why they would go for young, because they wanted someone who was kind of Australian-y beautiful. Mm-hmm. And this actress, who I think was primarily a model.
Sure.
She's very attractive, but good Lord, is it just a piece of cardboard?
Yeah.
Meeting another piece of cardboard.
Oh my God!
They make them kiss.
Yeah, she's still 2 years. 89 is Dead Calm, so she could have done this.
Oh. So this was between BMX Bandits
and Dead Calm. Yeah,
Dead Calm.
the classic that is BMX Bandits.
And I think she had done lots of TV. I mean, she had been acting since
there's
a kid,
a lot of credits in here. And certainly this would have been bad for her, but probably better for us because she's a good actress. She's a really good actress. So
you can't do anything with the script either.
No, but at least she would. I would have been more interested in this had it been.
Yeah, I would have followed it more.
This woman
felt bad for you when I was watching it because I was like, John is actually having to take notes.
Oh yeah, and I will say though, I took notes, and I don't think I even understood the movie still.
As soon as we're done with this, I will probably do one of those Eternal Sunshine things and have this movie expunged from my memory.
That's the best. But then you just
there's nothing I wish to retain from it other than, gosh, Australia is beautiful.
Yeah, and that once again, plenty of other better movies can show that to you. Because I do love a lot of movies from this country, but not that. Well, we should mention though, that our director, this is returning director
I
from
know.
Howling 2, and I will say, I didn't think this was possible. I have no appreciation for Howling 2. After watching this, Howling 2 way more watchable than this. And it's a horrible movie.
Yes. I mean,
but it's not,
it really is just by comparison.
This
yes.
This is incomprehensible gobbledygook, though.
What's weird is, and okay, no, it's just my brain, similar to yours, looks at story elements or ideas and goes, well, if you had been competent, or there were things in it that could have worked. The idea of two different tribes of lycanthropes having this sort of connection across the world, and one comes to join with the other clan. So an Australian bunch of marsupial werewolves and a Russian bunch of werewolves, and there's sort of this weird sort of communal clan thing that's drawn by sexual attraction. That's an interesting idea.
That's a cool idea.
Here's a scene in Howling 3 that in a good werewolf movie could have been awesome, and that is a ballerina in the middle of a performance becoming a werewolf is kind of a cool
idea
concept
on paper.
And this is garbage.
In execution. It's so bad.
Oh my
also,
God.
don't make a movie where in the movie you make fun of how bad a fake movie's werewolf effects are.
Shit.
But then your actual werewolf effects are just as bad.
Well, the thing is, we have not until there is a let's go see a movie scene, and they go see a bad horror movie, and that's the lead actress who is a werewolf girl and her new boyfriend who is a normal guy.
By the way, I got almost no one's names in this thing.
Other than the wacky lead woman's name, which is what, Jaroba, or
Jaroba,
Jubara.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
But
they go see a horror movie, so we know that he works in horror movies, and they go see one, and it's meant to be a terrible low budget horror film they watch, which is called It Came from Uranus. Is what
hilarious.
We see on the title
God,
card.
I'm laughing already.
Yeah, that was painfully funny. And then, but what's weird is then that becomes a werewolf movie. And so even within the logic of this stupid ass goddamn movie, the fake movie makes no sense. It Came from Uranus turns into a werewolf film, and you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
And in that movie, we see a guy turn into a werewolf, and it is grotesquely stupid, like a really awful transformation with bad makeup.
Yeah.
Purposefully so is what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Because at this point in Howling 3, we have not gotten a clear look at what their werewolves look like. This is the first thing we see.
Yeah.
And she turns to her boyfriend guy and goes, they don't really look like that. That's clever.
Yeah.
If when we finally see the real world werewolves, if they look awesome.
Yeah, they should look like American Wolf in London or something.
Bad as the comedically bad ones in It Came from Uranus.
I actually thought the best werewolf makeup was the fake makeup on the guy on the film shoot that she says that looks terrible. I actually thought that looked pretty good compared to a lot of
it looks like it
looks like a Universal Pictures.
Yes, it looks like a decently done kind of Lon Chaney Jr. type of werewolf.
I will take any day over what the werewolves in this look like, which are so dumb looking.
Oh my god!
Well,
I can't even.
Speaking of, though, let's talk about the poster, because this promises a werewolf we do not get in this movie.
Well, I would say that we don't really get werewolves anyway in this movie.
Aren't we supposed to? Aren't the Russians supposed to be proper werewolves? And then we have
instead of the marsupials
of Australia, which, like we said, that's an interesting idea that different cultures in different countries would have the manifestations of different animals. Is an interesting concept.
What this poster is promising is they're keeping the idea, I guess, from the previous two Howlings, even though Howling 2 had such a wide variety of makeups.
Yeah.
Like some people that were kind of just furry humans, and then people that actually had snouts. But so they're promising another Howling-ish wolf snouted
for
werewolf.
A franchise that has no interest in continuity. They're really keeping it together with the poster designs.
Yeah. So it is it's not a very good painting, but again, it is a wolf person with the snout and some really ridiculously glowy eyes
Yeah.
tearing through fabric. That's the big tie-in
You know
to
what
the
I
other
like though? This
posters.
is a glam werewolf because he's painted his nails.
Yes, he's got full-on bright red nails.
I like to look good.
He went to the salon and he had Mrs. Kim
Yeah.
paint those nails.
All right, hold on. Take my picture now. I've just come back from my manicure.
And
Rawr, rawr.
through the rips of the fabric, we see behind him it is Australia
Yeah.
with Ayers Rock or Uluru, I guess, as
Yeah.
the
I'll
natives
tell you
call
though,
it.
this might have got me into the theater. Although Howling 3, I would have been still steaming from Howling 2, so maybe not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I would say I would
and
be like,
it
cool
says
poster.
at the top, "The Howling terror continues,"
I
and
like
the howling is in quotes.
That's interesting.
The Howling terror continues.
Yeah.
That's not much of a selling point either,
Oh, no,
because it tells me nothing.
No, certainly not. I want to see if there's any other. Okay, I do have some other ones. 2 other taglines from the movie. The fear is breeding. ... Fast. Better.
That's pretty appropriate. Yeah.
And then just when you thought it was safe to go down under.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
Australia. Yeah,
Yeah.
mate.
Indeed.
Yeah. Throw some shrimp on the barbie, which they do, of course, say in this movie.
Yeah, that was the callback.
Were you waiting
was like,
for?
oh.
I was once they said that I was waiting for. Now that's a knife.
That would have been good too.
Yeah.
But they went with the easy one, and they have an Aboriginal gentleman jump out and
Oh.
say, "Should I throw another shrimp on the bar?"
I will say he's not good, but he's doing the most acting of anybody in this movie.
He is. And actually, I liked him.
I mean, he added some energy to this thing.
Faint praise, but he is a character
Yeah.
that I enjoyed seeing on screen. And I kind of liked the head anthropologist guy. They're all terrible, but the head anthropologist guy, the reason I liked him is he reminded me of a British comedic actor of the more recent vintage, and I'll get his name. It's driving me nuts.
Well, this is. I
But
mean,
he
I will
looks
say
a lot like him.
the guy who's sort of the essentially the lead, the guy you're talking about, the anthropologist guy.
Yeah,
He is an actual actor. As I look at his IMDb, he's actually in things like lots
yeah,
of
but
things.
he's terrible.
He is, but I'm saying like he does have clearly the most acting experience of anybody in this movie. He's the star here, I guess. Barry Otto,
Yeah,
from Brisbane,
yeah,
but like he's in stuff. He's in Baz Luhrmann movies, you know, like
he's in stuff.
well, he's in like real things.
Oh, the guy I was thinking of is Mark Heap.
Oh, sure. Who's always
and
great.
he's very funny. And with the glasses and the mustache, which he wore in a TV show called Green Wing,
Yep.
a sitcom from Britain, he looks exactly like this guy.
Yeah. Mark Heap, who I also know from Spaced.
Yeah, he's in Space.
Very
Very
funny
funny.
show.
Very
Yeah.
different character in
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah, really funny guy though. So yeah, I mean but yeah, Jesus Christ, this movie. It's one of those things where I almost don't even know where to begin. Was it Philippe?
Well, why don't we begin
Mora
at the beginning?
began at the beginning? Well, yeah, I mean I will say for the first 15 minutes, this movie was moving through characters and scenes, and I'm just going, boy, are you expecting me to follow any of this movie?
What's really weird about the structure of this thing is that, and it does feel like they were like setting out to do something parodic or funny, even though it's not funny at all.
It's
but
really
because
not, yeah.
they do just drop characters in,
Yeah.
they move plot along, you get no background in anything, and that is what a comedy normally does, because why burrow into the psychology of a person or their backstory if you're just trying to get to a joke?
Right.
So this movie moves like a freight train until it doesn't.
Except it has no jokes.
Until a point where you're like, oh, why is it now slowed down to a snail's pace?
Oh, the second half of this movie is agonizing to sit through.
But at the beginning of this, you have literal like flashbacks to 1905 and jerky vintage footage.
Well, the first thing we see is this opening shot of these Aboriginal tribesmen
Yeah.
surrounding this werewolf figure.
Yeah, a werewolf figure that has been tied to a tree and killed.
Yeah.
What's weird what's weird is this is, and they say later on we find out that's supposed to have been a female werewolf, and they're like going, but also what the makeup had me worried right off the bat, because we're led to believe this is a genuine, but we only see it kind of in this jerky black and white thing.
Right.
And you're like, okay, it's got a snout, it's got the furry upper body, but then it had, did you notice the legs were totally just human?
Yep.
I was like, what's that about?
They gave up at a certain point with the makeup there.
They gave up. They're like, we ran out of yak hair or whatever, because whatever. So it's a bunch of...
Well, then find a way to cover that up or something. I don't know if you're not going to go...
An anthropologist in 1905 got this footage of Aboriginal tribesmen who have put a werewolf to death.
It is the grandfather of the main character of this movie. And
right. Who is also an anthropologist.
And they keep talking about, you don't want to end up like him, but we never get a full answer as to what happened to him.
Well, I think they talk about he ended up like eaten by a cannibal.
Yeah, there was.
Well,
because they talk. You don't want to end up, steak ta, and he's like, "What do you mean?"
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he goes, "Raw meat."
They say tartare. They say something really weird.
Yeah, and the guy's like, "What?"
And we also get footage, and this is confusing because they don't give us a timestamp on this, because they move from.
When we go to Siberia.
We go to Siberia, and it's also shot as if it's kind of sped up footage, and you're like, what?
Also,
is this also old?
What I love about this, it's a snow-covered house and ground, but if you look behind it, no snow and any trees or anything, because we're still in Australia, obviously. I just love that, where I'm going, like, it's all just covered in snow, but then you just go
Siberia,
slightly behind it, and there's no snow at all.
A guy comes out of his cottage, and there's like a dead body in the snow, and we're really not even sure.
And then the camera rushes. No, I don't know. A camera rushes up on him. He just goes, "Ah!"
Yeah.
And that, boy, if you were worried about that first thing, I'm real worried now. Going like, "Oh Jesus Christ!"
So then,
and once again, am I supposed to be laughing? Is this funny? I can't tell, and that is how I will feel the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is dubbed a comedy as one of the genre categories on IMDb.
I think comedy could just apply to ineptitude, like and some of the acting.
That's the thing I couldn't tell is I never laughed at anything, and nothing ever felt truly structured like a joke. It all just felt very arch and weird.
Yeah, well, I think there were supposed to be moments, but again, I was like, if that was their attempt, that doesn't work, and it's not funny. I think they were trying to be very satirical anytime we visited the film crew and the film set, and you're like, well, this is stupid
in classic bad satire. What is the point of the satire, though, other than film people are weird?
Yeah, exactly. And the director of that movie is clearly supposed to be some sort of gay Alfred Hitchcock, and you're like, okay.
My one note: we needed more gay Alfred Hitchcock.
Well, generally speaking, every movie could use some. But so this is
the Tailor of the Birds.
The next thing is if we're just because we're just jumping. As far as I remember, the next thing is we're in, I think, the United States, and we're in like a top secret government spy lab where they're intercepting Russian communications.
Yes,
referring to werewolves in Siberia.
And they go, "What should we do about this?" And they go, "Well, the werewolves aren't a thing. They've clearly lost their minds out there in Russia." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, Well, they first go, "Werewolf has to be a code name for something." They're like going, "No, I think they actually think they're werewolves in Siberia."
By the way, werewolf would be like a cool name for a KGB Special Forces team or something like that.
Well, I would like to point you to, and it makes no sense, but Dell Comics. Oh, here goes a deep dive.
Dell Comics. I'm interested already.
A deep dive into nerd comic and horror culture.
That is what this show is about, 60s, my friend.
In the 60s, Dell tried to turn the classic monsters. They did not have the Universal license, but tried to turn them into superheroes.
Sure.
It was not successful.
Yes.
There was
I'm vaguely
Dracula.
aware of this.
Dracula was like a great grandson of the original Dracula, but he was a scientist. He creates a formula that gives him vampire-like abilities, but he's not evil. And he puts on a skin-tight suit and fights evil with his girlfriend, who also ends up
the
with those
skin-tight
powers.
suit. That's the next step once you get powers, obviously.
Right. Frankenstein was about the Frankenstein monster, the actual one, drawn terribly. He had a green head, but the rest of his body was normal colored.
We only have so much green ink lying around.
Yeah, he becomes a superhero in a skin-tight suit, saving people. Yep. He's making up for past misdeeds.
Of course.
And then you had Werewolf. They didn't call it Wolfman, it was Werewolf.
Yeah,
Werewolf wasn't even a monster. Werewolf was a secret agent guy, and that was his code name.
Oh, well,
and he
lame.
primarily worked underwater, like he was a diver.
Werewolves
spy.
often are.
Yeah, and he doesn't turn into a wolf. Doesn't have anything wolf-like about him. But they put those out at the same time. Dracula, Frankenstein,
still
werewolf.
Someone is currently trying to turn this into a cinematic univerf.
No doubt. But the thing is, I think each one of those titles lasted about 6 issues.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea though of an actual werewolf secret agent. That sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea. Well, I did like the Jeff Lemire did a comic for DC when he did Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
Yeah,
and you had a secret agent Frankenstein. That was pretty cool.
It was, though. It was. I kept wondering why at that time, because I think that was a Grant Morrison creation for Seven Soldiers, and then Lemire took it from there.
Right.
But we also had Doc Frankenstein over at another publisher. There were a lot of Frankenstein, and then Frankenstein Mobster.
Oh, I read that. Of course I did.
These all came out at the same time.
Yeah. There was kind of a run on the was there around the time of that Aaron Eckhart movie, I, Frankenstein, too? It was in the air.
That was so good. I can't wait to get to that one.
We'll get there, man.
That's the hunkiest Frankenstein creature we'll ever get.
Oh, that was Aaron Eckhart at his most jacked, man. It's all abs. It's all scarred abs. Anyway, back to this movie.
Oh, do we have to? Anyway,
we cut from those spies to our...
Oh, I wanted to say, though, I don't think anyone should watch this movie.
No.
But some of the worst acting, and some of the worst acting that right off the bat had me going, uh-oh, was the black guy in the spy agency.
Yeah.
Because he delivers all of his dialogue like this, and he's moving his body and doing his hand like this to his partner, who's going, I think they were actual werewolves. He's going, well, you can tell somebody that there are actual werewolves in Siberia, but I won't. It's just the way he delivers these lines is so bad.
This is Jerome Patillo is who you're talking about, and this is his second on-screen appearance after he played a general in another Philippe Mora film, The Return of Captain Invincible.
Oh, that classic.
Yeah. He was also in that, playing general. So
I'm sure he went up to Alan Arkin and going, listen, Captain Invincible, we're going to need you to go over here and do a thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm sure that's the case. Anyway, so we cut from those guys to our main character, Professor... Harry Beckmeyer. That doesn't even sound familiar, and I just finished this movie.
Well, I think most of the people in this movie, including his good friends, keep calling him by his last name. I remember that pretty much everyone in this movie goes, Beckmeyer, we found you. Beckmeyer, we found you.
Or they just call him Professor. That's it. He's called by title or last name. And he's showing that footage we saw at the beginning of the movie. We're already back to this footage. To his class.
I know. It's 3 minutes in, we're watching it again.
Going, my grandfather there, he shot this film, and it's purported to be a real live werewolf there.
Yeah, it's they've had experts look at it and say that's not a mask. If it is, it's the most convincing mask of all time.
It's not.
No.
Could probably drum up that mask right now if you gave me a few hours. But
I've got some paper mache.
But I love that he finishes the class, and then this is the kind of pacing we're doing at the beginning of the movie. He goes, all right, everybody, there'll be no class tomorrow because I have to go to Washington. Cut to, he's meeting with the president in Washington.
I can't get enough of this. I mean, I did laugh here just because it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
So this anthropologist, the spy guys go, who's going to tell the president that there are werewolves in Siberia? And then we are in that classroom, and apparently we're led to believe someone has reached out to this anthropologist, and he does say that, like, I won't be here. I'll be meeting with the president tomorrow. And then we're in the president's gym.
Oh, the president is always The president is always in his gym.
It's actually
in this movie.
the first scene's at his pool, like indoor pool.
But he's always working out. Is what
Yes,
we're seeing
and then
about
he's in a gym. And this is 87, so it's like, are they? Because he's kind of cowboyish, as an Australian would probably make an American president in a movie.
He's not full on Reagan per se, though. You know?
No, but I think they're going for a Reagan thing.
They're going for overtly American. Reagan, leading man, Reagan.
But what I love about it is there's no establishing shot of White House or whatever. We just cut to an indoor pool, and this anthropologist is casually talking to the president of the United States.
I just like he's going,
in like a bathrobe.
Yeah. And not even the bathrobe. They could have put the presidential seal on the No,
that would have cost him $5.
But he's just him going, Mr. President, and I at this point am going, President of what?
That's actually that's kind of true. They don't say.
I know he said Washington, but I'm going nothing about this. And also, how about this? No Secret Service around him. That would have sold it too. Thing. Nope.
Also, all the military that we see towards the end of the movie, it feels like they were implying that's American military in Australia.
Yep.
And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. I no, this movie made. I don't know why. I don't know why the president is involved in this film at all.
I don't know why the president would be the guy. I mean, even if werewolves turned out to be in Siberia, someone probably would tell the president about it. But why would it be America's problem? So anyway, in Australia, professor.
He's going, Mr. President, there are werewolves out there. And the president's like, that certainly is very interesting. Anyway, I don't have time to deal with this, but talk to this guy. And so this is where we meet our government official guy.
Yeah, who becomes his good buddy, his traveling partner.
Oh, yeah. They become a real duo in this movie, a real Ford and Foreign. But here's the thing about this. They go to Washington to meet the president, and then they're almost instantly back in Australia.
Yep.
Because this is the guy going, you don't want to end up like your father did, eaten by, I guess the implication is he was eaten by natives somewhere.
Yeah, because that's an easy joke, about anthropologists.
That's, by the way, every line of dialogue in this movie is joke, ? Because this has some of the most abysmal dialogue I've ever heard in any film.
It is, I mean, again, you would say, well, they're being dumb on purpose because they're trying for comedy.
I don't know,
though. I don't know. I can't say that because nothing makes me laugh in it. And it just is egregiously dumb, including stupid things where if you are a filmmaker, even an independent filmmaker, but in your movie, you have a character that's discovered by someone working on a movie and says, I would love for you to be in this movie, and then goes to the set and they go, you're going to be our new lead and you're going to be filming in 20 minutes. And I'm sitting there going, these are filmmakers that put in one of the stupidest takes on how movies work into a movie that they have made. You're like, no one gets picked up on the beach and suddenly 20 minutes later they're the star of an indie horror movie.
Oh, that's insane. That's truly insane.
Because God, when that happened, I was like,
that's basically the next. Well,
this is a student film. This is a student film.
No, it's insane. I find it crazy. This is directed by the same guy who did Howling 2, because all of a sudden Howling 2 looks way more competent than this thing. Let's talk about this scene though, where we go to, oh my God, the very cleverly named town of Flow.
I can't. Okay. This was good. I'll talk to you later. I can't.
Yeah, the town where the werewolf cult or whatever it is hanging out is called Flow, which for those of you who haven't figured it out in 5 seconds is wolf backwards.
Yeah, my name is Flo Alucard. I'm Dracula Wolf.
I wanted that guy back going, Flo, what is that? Let's see, does anyone have a mirror? There's something here. Yeah.
God damn it, that's stupid.
But this conversation between these priestesses or nuns or whatever of the wolf,
I think that they are elder, like spiritual women,
Yeah.
wise women, but when they mix with our society,
they
they
look
go
like
disguised as nuns.
hilarious.
This is shown to be a cult,
Yeah.
and it's got supposed to have kind of creepy Manson family-ish vibes
Yeah.
because they all are they're living very hippie-ish with the land kind of stuff, and it's all you're not allowed to leave. You don't want to mix with the outside world.
What I have here is this dialogue from this scene between this priestess and Jerboa, who is our lead.
Jaboa.
Yeah. And so the priestess says, "Don't be afraid of me, my child. I want to help you." And Jerboa says, "I don't need any help." Priestess, "You should not run away from home." "I don't like home." "Why, child?" "Because my stepfather tried to rape me, and he's a werewolf."
Yes. Yes.
But that is indicative of every dialogue exchange in the movie is like that.
It is. Here's another thing. Honey Bunch, you're also a werewolf. I mean, obviously being raped by your stepfather, there is no excuse for that. I don't care if you're a werewolf.
But it's weird because then I don't quite know how I'm supposed to feel about that guy later.
Well, later they try this hard turn and try to present the werewolf community as sort of an aboriginal stand-in, as in they are a minority that keeps being threatened and shoved out of their homes. And you're like, well, if that was a point you should have made or were trying to make, then maybe not have them be grotesque killers a lot of the time.
Well, and once again, on paper, that parallel could have been an interesting horror movie using the werewolves as the sort of natives that are. Yeah, that would have been. That could have. I'm on board for that.
I'm
but
on
also,
board for
that needs to be
social message.
That needs to be
werewolf movie.
A more serious movie for sure.
Oh yeah. Not this bullshit.
Yeah, this is. It's tough to because I just don't know. This reminds me a lot. I mean, it's worse than these. But there was all those movies of the 60s that were deemed spoofs, and you're like, but there's no jokes in them.
Yeah.
This always baffled me as a kid, where I would sit down and go like, oh, because like how many James Bond spoofs were there? You know, the Casino Royale or the Flint movies or even the Dean Martin stuff.
Well, but they weren't, I mean, spoof just meant it shared trappings and lightened the tone. Because the Flint movies had some jokes in them, but they were still spy movies.
But as a kid, I just remember being like, "Oh man, this is going to be on AMC or whatever," and it's a spoof. So I'm expecting to watch Airplane, and instead I'm going, "This isn't funny. It's kind of just a not as good James Bond movie."
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I mean, the Flint movies are fine. The Dean Martin ones, I find those Matt Helm movies impossible to sit through. But I mean, I love Dean Martin.
You don't like seeing him bend Stella Stevens over his lap and spank her, that kind of stuff. That's genius.
I'm not laughing, man.
He had that the revolving bed that would tilt down and dump you into a pool underneath it.
Well, I'll tell you, he doesn't.
Not even Bond had that.
But that is not Dean Martin on his A game in those movies by any.
Oh no, he's sleepwalking through.
Yeah, that's the thing where because I love Dean Martin, but not. That's where you're going like, oh, Dean's taking a paycheck here. Sure, blah blah blah. All right, everybody.
You want me to go and get some? I gotta rescue a lady and a UFO from the Iron Curtain. I'll go.
Yeah,
sure.
Just hand me the pages we're shooting today, and I'll try my best.
I just got to be sure. Now, Jerry's not allowed anywhere on the set, right? He's not coming in. I won't have to see Jerry today.
Meanwhile, security the Dean said I could come by. Oh no!
He said I could be one of the bad guys with a machine gun. Hi. That would have been great.
He, of course, is being hoisted by two security guards. His feet aren't even on the ground, right? He's just...
I love the idea. He's like going, "Don't tell Dean. I just want to be in one of his movies," and he's pretending to be one of the Russian bad guys. And
I just love it because Jerry Lewis was doing fine. He didn't desperately need to be in it, but he's still. I just want to be back with Dean.
I just want to be in a movie where I shoot at Dean. Bang, bang, bang. We put the sound effects in later, Mister.
Bang, 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 bang.
Lie
Aw,
down, Dean. You're dead.
I got him. This will never.
Man,
see.
this movie could have used both Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis.
Oh my God, this movie. Anybody could have helped this movie. Jesus Christ. Okay, so she takes off.
Yeah, Jerboa is sort of the there are also kids in this tribe, but she's a young woman of age, and she's feeling rebellious, doesn't want to end up being just another concubine of the main werewolf guy. So she leaves, and pretty instantly, the way this movie moves, we're like, is there something significant about this priest that she's on a bus with, that she talks to? No, it's just so he can do a take to the camera when she goes, I don't know, she says something about eating people or werewolf something, and he's like, what?
Oh!
So she leaves the little town, ends up in the big city. She's in Sydney because we see the opera house. And she just like sleeps on park benches and then is immediately spotted by somebody.
Oh my God. She's spotted by the most boring man in existence.
You mean the romantic lead?
Yeah, yes. Donnie,
who
Lee Biolos. Donnie
sees her asleep on a park bench, stops his car, runs across traffic into the park where she's asleep on the bench. Then she sees him, takes off, and he chases her for like 2 miles. Meanwhile, I'm just looking at the scenery going, oh, look at that. Oh, because I've always wanted to go to Australia.
Sure.
So I'm like, oh,
I don't blame you. I would love
gorgeous.
to go to Australia. It's gorgeous.
But
there.
So we also see that he's wearing a T-shirt that says Shape Changers.
Nice.
And on the back it says Part 8.
Yeah. Hilarious.
He catches up to her and he's like, don't run away.
I couldn't even follow this. I was still laughing at the T-shirt, Brendan.
I know. I could tell that I was going to have to fill you in.
By the way, this guy, Lee Biolos, just a couple credits here and there. Not much of an acting career. But he does have one particularly interesting credit on his IMDb, which is in 1998, a movie I'm a big fan of, Dark City.
Oh yeah, Dark City's great.
He was credited as a dialogue coach in the credits of that movie.
Okay.
I don't know, but he's not a dialogue coach on any other movie. But somehow,
what was he helping? What's his name? Lead actor guy?
Oh, Rufus Sewell.
Was he helping him try to do a better American accent?
Maybe. I mean, it's directed by Alex Proyas, who I believe is an Australian director. Is he not?
Yeah, and Rufus Sewell is British, I believe.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It could have been because this guy, I believe, is Australian doing a decent American accent.
It's okay. I mean, he's so boring. I'm not really bothered by the accent.
Yeah,
I'm
this
still
guy
bothered by the.
I mean,
I'm so bothered by the performance. I didn't have time to start judging the accent.
No one can act in this movie. It's ridiculous. But he basically goes, "Hey, don't run away. I'm harmless. I just, you're gorgeous, and I'm making a movie, and I think you'd be great in it." And she's like, "What's a movie?" They keep doing these things where she's like, "I don't know modern world."
Yeah, man.
But pretty quickly.
Yeah, I actually wish they'd gone. Well, I wish they'd picked a lane. You could do Werewolf in the City if you wanted to. But that's another movie. You know what I mean? Like, is it the
Werewolf in the City? Boom, 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 boom. Running wild and looking pretty.
This Thursday on Werewolf in the City, the werewolf meets. That's an all-new Werewolf in the City after Caroline in the City on CBS.
In this episode, Werewolf is confused by an ATM.
Watch all the laughs right here Sunday nights on NBC.
I forgot my PIN number. And then someone says, you don't have to say number when you say PIN. And then Werewolf rips that person's throat out. I love that episode. It's one of my favorites.
Because the laughs never end on Werewolf in the City. Do they still
what do you mean my bus pass isn't good anymore?
Does any network still do sitcom promos? I don't think they do. I love those like 80s sitcom promos where they're like, tonight Alf gets into the I kind of miss
on an all new Alf. the recent and this will date this episode, but John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, they did a riff on how TV peaked in the 70s with BJ.
The BJ and the Bear thing made me laugh.
And then they showed one of those with
Casey Kasem
on an all new. Yeah, Casey Kasem doing the voiceover on an all-new BJ and the Bear. BJ's got to rescue a bunch of hookers from a... Yeah. And it's just... I remember that stuff. And they would do that for TV movies. And afterwards, Rock Hudson and Susan St. James, or McMillan and Wife, as they go up against the blah, 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 blah.
In the CBS Movie of the Week. I mean,
Movie of the Week.
They were still doing that by the time I was a kid in the 90s. It was... they would still... I remember those CBS promos like that.
Well, I do know that
on an all-new coach, it's like...
Yes, when NBC was at the top with the Thursday lineup, they would always kind of do... And on an all-new Friends...
Yeah.
So it did. It lasted up into the 90s.
Chandler comes in and says something snarky on an all-new Friends.
Then on an all-new...
I would always love when they would make the... I always love the transition too, like on an all new Will and Grace, then on a heartbreaking ER.
Yes, the shift, the shift when you have to talk about the drama.
It's the same guy just lowering his tone.
Yeah, or even better if it was a traditional sitcom that was having a very special episode. Yeah. Like they always bring up the one from Home Improvement, which is about like
when Randy might be dying.
Yes, yeah. God damn it,
Dad, am I gonna die?
Oh, God.
Tim Allen, not the guy to be dealing with it.
Oh, God. And they bring the fence in so Wilson can peek over it and go, I think he's not looking too good, Tim.
By the way, I was a big Home Improvement viewer, as you know. Turns out it was just a minor thyroid issue was the actual end of that episode.
Oh, whew.
Yeah, JTT was okay. All right. Jesus Christ. That's how much we don't want to talk about this movie.
Anyway, Jaroba has been picked up by Donnie, who works on an independent horror movie.
And he brings her...
He takes her to the set.
Yeah, and he goes, in this scene, you're going to be gang raped by monsters, is what the director tells her.
Yeah, I love that it's a director that goes, what have you brought me, Donnie? He's like, well, here's our new lead. And he's like, well, she's very attractive. Have you ever acted? She goes, no. And he goes, perfect.
Perfect. Now we don't have to pay you.
And they're like, you just pretend. And what's the scene? And you're going to be gang raped by 4 monsters. And she's like, that's a little close to home.
She seems down with it though.
She looks over at. They do this joke several times. She looks over at the guy, who is in the werewolf-esque makeup, the one that looks better than the actual.
Who's sitting next to a guy with a meat cleaver in his head?
Yeah, they're hanging out having snacks at the craft service table. And she goes, oh, they don't look like that.
Yeah. That is not what a guy with a meat cleaver in his head looks like.
Well, that's true. She doesn't indicate which one she's talking about. But what I think is hilarious is clearly they set up to film in this public park.
Yeah.
Because there are people, bystanders, looking at the filming of this indie movie that are clearly actual people looking at the filming of Howling 3.
I know.
Like they're just lined up around them. I'm like, wow, that's a very clean set. Whoever's keeping people back is on top of it.
What I like about this too is we also at a certain point in the scene cut to the professor and the government agent guy. Yeah. And the government agent guy goes, oh, look, they're filming a movie over there. And they're just like,
yeah. It's supposed to be cute because they're so close to someone they would be interested in.
Yeah.
But they're just walking by as people are filming the movie.
Meanwhile, our werewolf nuns are on a bus into town.
They have come seeking Jaroba. She got away from them. And they're like, how will we find her? It's like, this one can find her. She can sniff her out because they're werewolves. And so, and then there's this kid who's making a face at one of the nuns. This is terrible direction too, because they told that kid just to do the fingers in your ears, the hands up, and stick your tongue out at the nun. And they didn't give him any other instruction. So during that dialogue, he's just doing that. He's not even wiggling the hands or doing anything. He's just frozen. And she's not looking at him until after she's finished with a line, and then she sees him, and again, he's doing nothing else, and then she growls at him, which is his cue to look like he's a little scared. God damn it, this movie's awful.
That's the whole scene.
That's the whole movie. The end.
I thought when he put his hands to his ears like that, he was about to do Dave Couillet's Bullwinkle impression, but
yeah, he didn't.
yeah.
Turns out.
Hello, Michelle.
You know what we're not going to do? Talk about Dave Coulier.
I'm always just about to talk about him, man.
He tore the heart out of Alanis Morissette.
That son of a bitch.
He led to one of the greatest rock albums of the 90s.
Tore her heart out or made her the biggest thing ever. I don't know, man.
Well,
I think she has a lot to thank Dave Coulier for, maybe.
You ought to know.
And somewhere on the set of Full House, Dave Coulier was like, I do know. It's so crazy growing up as a kid who watched Full House, just thinking Uncle Joey.
Yeah, when she's singing about their physical love making, and you're like, I don't want to think about Dave Coulier.
I don't need to think about Alanis Morissette blowing Dave Coulier in a movie theater.
I don't need to think about.
I don't need to think about Dave Coulier in any sexual context.
Nope. Man, we don't want to talk about Howling 3.
No,
okay,
I'm more willing to talk about Dave Couiller's sex life than this movie. That's how bad this has gotten.
That is our other podcast, so we keep crossing them over.
So now they go. He goes. I'll take. You don't know what a horror movie is? I'll take you to a horror movie. Cut to they're at the horror movie that we were talking about earlier.
Right, Donnie. They're clearly already in love instantly. But she is in a horror movie that he put her in, but she doesn't know what one is. So he takes her to see It Came from Uranus.
Classic.
And then it has, and I thought I was watching like, okay, they're doing a joke on American Werewolf in London type transformations because they really go to town in this fake movie of the bladders, the pulsating flesh, and then the snout coming out, but it goes so far, so it's ridiculous, like he's an alligator wolf man. So terrible makeup, and you're like, ha ha, that's the joke of how bad the makeup is. And she does lean across and go, it doesn't really happen like that.
Yeah.
And then cut to the next morning, they've had sex.
Well, I was going to say, though, this is hardly a see you next Wednesday, because that, as we talked about, makes me laugh every single time. That porn movie is so funny. This is just like, once again, it's bad, but it's not funny. It's not parodying anything, really. It kind of is, but
well, you can see what their target is.
Yeah,
it just doesn't land at all. You're like, okay, I got your joke. It's just that it's not.
This movie is a satire that has nothing to say.
No,
that's not how satire works.
Nope.
Yeah,
it's like, let's imitate something and do it poorly. That's the joke.
They're in bed and they have. I get that they've just had sex, but they are.
I know what you're about to say.
Doused in sweat.
This is so fucking funny to me. They
another thing where I'm going, is this a joke on purpose?
I don't think this was a joke. I just think this was literally a director saying, well, they need to look sweaty. They just had hot animalistic sex. They look like someone, like when you squirt a water thing at a cat to make it stop doing something naughty.
Yeah.
They are just beaded and drenched. It's soaking into the bed sheets and so forth.
What's great about it is they're like that for like the entirety of this 3-minute dialogue exchange.
Yep.
You really
there's nothing about it drying up. No.
No, and it's not pouring like sweat. It's just beaded on them. They're just soaked, and their hair is wet and slick, and
they had sex.
Oh, they did,
and
it was
we
good,
don't see it
apparently.
But he reaches over to he wants to take her bra off.
That never came up during the sex,
right? And she goes, "No, don't." And he's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
We find out later probably that's because most of her torso is covered with fur.
Because she's got furry boobs. Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't notice that while they were having the sex.
Nope.
Even with the bra on.
Well, I like that at no point that, like I said, the bra coming off was never part of the lead up to the sex.
He pulls the sheet down because she goes back to sleep, sort of, and he's like, I'm going to sneak a peek at what he's already apparently, you would assume, felt. But there is like this patch of fur starting around her navel.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what a treasure trail is, and if we don't, I'm very sorry to bring that term up, but this is clearly like, folks. abnormally furry person with a scar that looks like a C-section scar. We'll find out what
We'll
that's
find
about.
out what that is, and it may have something to do with this being the marsupials.
It
By the
just
way, the
might.
version you watched, was it called the marsupials?
In the listing, it was called the Howling 3, the marsupials. In the titles of the movie, it was called the marsupials _ Howling 3.
That's what it was called on my version, but when I clicked on it, it just the movie was just listed as the Howling 3. So this movie can't make up its mind about what it is.
Well, all I know is it's genius.
And like the IMDb listing is just Howling 3 as well, and then alternate title is Marsupials Howling 3.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be Howling 3 because it has nothing to do with anything. And
well,
then we
they do
wouldn't have
mention
watched
California at one point as where
well,
another tribe of werewolves.
Well, they mentioned there are werewolves here and there and everywhere.
But specifically, they say Los Angeles.
Yeah, so I guess all the events of the Howling happen. Did they mention where was that second one? Germany or something?
Oh, right. Yeah, I can't remember what the place was. Well, it was Transylvania.
It was, yeah. It was Eastern Europe. Yeah, that's where Sybil Danning was. Did they mention that? I don't remember.
I don't remember if they did either.
I mean, you would think they would, because this guy made that movie.
I'd say this, if anything, is referencing the first movie, specifically the ending, which, again, are they parodying, or are they honestly just saying this is what happens a lot, is that someone turns into a werewolf on TV?
I don't know. With that, what the thing they had no money to make that award show scene.
Oh
it's
God!
literally a
but they
curtain and a podium.
Get the brilliant Dame. What's her name?
Dame Edna.
Dame Edna.
Yeah. Oh my!
Who was, of course, a huge Australian star.
Yes, Dame Edna.
They must have gotten him cheap.
Yeah.
Is it Barry Humphries? Is that his real name?
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he even go credited?
I would have had my name taken off.
Yeah. Don't even put Dame Edna. They just want to see if they even. No, I think uncredited. The Dame Edna appearance. Yeah.
well, good.
Oh no! Wait, no, there it is. Credited. Dame Edna Everidge. I didn't remember Dame Edna having a last name.
Oh no, I knew that Dame Edna had a last name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dame Edna had several TV series. I mean, really a big star.
Yeah,
one of the big comedy stars of Australia.
I never got it myself, but that's fine.
Well, Dame Edna always reminded me very much of Jimmy Glick.
Sure.
Jiminy Glick.
Yeah. Who I did enjoy.
The Martin Short character. It's a similar comedy thing where it's like, I'm sort of going to do catty showbiz insider jokes, but I'm doing it in drag.
Yeah. I was more of a Jiminy Glick guy. I love Jiminy Glick.
Jiminy Glick, very funny.
Yeah. Steven Spielberg. So tell me, Steven, you've made a few movies. When are you gonna make the really big one?
Yeah. One of my favorite things is obviously that fat suit has got to be the most incredibly uncomfortable thing. But anytime he would switch what legs he had crossed, and he'd have to do this like hop in his chair to flip his legs over. Martin Short is a brilliant physical comedian.
He's one of the greatest who's ever lived. I mean, he's just one of the funniest.
What are you gonna do? Really big.
What are you gonna do? The really big one.
Oh my God, it kills me. Anyway,
it's so good. Let's see.
The nuns come into town looking for Jerboa.
She's filming a scene, which is just
Jeroba.
Which is just a werewolf choking her again and again and again.
This is something from the trivia on because I did go over there, and it says this is in that scene. The character of the director, the one we've called Gay Hitchcock, likens Jerboa to actress Kathleen Turner after Jerboa performed several takes screaming for her role in the movie within a movie. This is an unusual reference, considering Kathleen Turner is not at all known for work in horror films.
No, I don't think she's ever made one, as far as I know.
No, she made like Edge of Sanity, I think, with Anthony Perkins. Was that what it was called?
Yeah, I know.
Or Edge of Darkness.
Oh, I think it is Edge of Darkness, maybe. Yeah,
something like that. And Body Heat was, of course, a noir.
Yeah, that's not a horror movie though.
No, and she certainly didn't scream. And
No.
she was in the parody Man with Two Brains.
Oh, that movie terrifies me.
That movie, I swear to God.
I love that movie.
David Warner gets the biggest laugh from me in that movie, actually.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Well, just where he goes, it's like, so was it a success? I wouldn't say so. It's like, mainly, he walked around going,
look, that the whole run of the Steve Martin, Carl Reiner collaborations is just gold.
Oh,
Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
And Merv Griffin going, I just love to kill. Oh, you found me out.
Oh, by the way, this is the lame joke that I have to get out now, which is gay Hitchcock is Hitchcock, but the cock part is all caps.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, that's it.
We're saying that because he looks like him, but he's also clearly doing the kind of speech pattern, the sort of drawn out. But he's also
playing him very, as sort of effeminate, artsy.
He's very
gay
flamboyant.
Man. Yes.
And when they have their rap party, he's in like a sparkly Dracula cape.
He's he's like a Hitchcock meets Warhol kind of figure, I think.
Or a John Waters.
Hitchcock. Definitely, yeah. The campiness of a John Waters.
And we get it. They're making a low-budget horror movie. They just don't know they actually have a real-life werewolf in it.
Oh, God.
And
they're going to find out soon when we get to this trippy fucking party scene. Jesus Christ. Movie.
Oh, did she previously already tell him that there's something about lights that triggers things, and the only way she can calm down is by screwing him?
Oh,
because I think that happens at least once before the party scene, and it happens also at the party scene.
Oh, I think I do have this exchange as well from when they were in bed. There's an amazing exchange. You know that movie we saw? Yeah. And you said it doesn't happen like that. Yeah. What did you mean? It's not the full moon that turns you into, that makes you wild. The moon doesn't do it. It's always like that in the movies. It's wrong. How would you know? Are you a werewolf? Yes, but I don't want to be.
That's right. Yes, but I don't want to be. I don't want to be a werewolf anymore. Something.
It goes to take her bra off. Why don't you take this off? No. Oh. Make love to me again, Donnie. End of scene.
That's right up there. I will say, this does feel like the maker of Howling, too, because it's like that scene where Red Brown shows up in the doorway of the bathroom, and she's taking a bath, and it's just like, hey. And they just sort of look at each other for a bit.
Imagine that scene from Howling 2, but if it was the whole movie. That's basically what this is.
Yes. This is.
It is
so bad.
There's so many times in this movie where scenes ended, and I went, what?
Yeah, Donnie takes the news that she's a werewolf very easily, very quickly, not thrown by it in the least. And then
I'm a werewolf, but I don't want to be. Well, could you take off your bra? That's literally his next one. Let's see them boobs.
I've always wanted to see werewolf boobs. Come on. We do see werewolf boobs in this movie.
Yeah, and they look like what you think they'd look like.
Yeah, but it's weird.
So yeah, trippy. This is where it's an 80s music video. We're using fisheye lenses and stuff for all this. It's just gobbled. It's a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah. When they go to the rap party, is that the next thing? It's a costume party, and everyone dresses up. And of course there are crazy lights. People are taking pictures. This one guy's going to town with like a Instamatic, but whatever. Whenever flashes happen, she sees.
There's not even film in this camera. A snappity snap.
But anytime there's a flash of light, she reacts to it. Turns out, lights have this effect.
Here's something I know. Is this the most amount of jaw acting we've seen? Because everyone's about to go into a werewolf does this like.
The two women werewolves in this movie specifically have
start, like,
so many uncomfortable scenes of like imagine that you're about to change, and that's going to involve you kind of popping your jaw out and going, "Ay!" snapping your teeth, and they do it 85 times in this movie.
They all pull an Iceman from Top Gun and just start.
Yeah.
What's that?
You know, I pulled an Iceman once, and it took me like 2 months to get back on. I could not. I I don't know what that means, but so
nothing I love more than the abandoned bit.
Just drop it, move on.
I don't know where that was going.
But so her eyes start doing the "I'm about to change" thing, and she's getting the fangs. So she grabs Donnie, takes him behind, I don't know, like a scrim or something in this party warehouse, and is like, "You got to fuck me right now." And he's like, "What, right here?" And she goes, "By the way, yeah, I need that to keep from turning into a werewolf."
The concept that you can fuck the wolf out of someone is so crazy to me.
It's right up there with the idea that bright flashes of light would turn a werewolf into a werewolf.
I mean, this movie and this is just all messed up in werewolf mythology. Man.
Oh yeah, this makes no sense.
No, I don't follow.
But he's perfectly willing to. He's like, well, okay. So,
but hey, will you take your bra off this time?
While he's getting with her, and again, this is PG-13, so you pervs just calm down.
Well, that's unusual for a Howling movie, though. These have been chock-a-block with nudity up to this point.
This one, even though this is PG-13, the birth scene is, I mean, not that it's graphically, it's all fake stuff. Yeah, but I was still sitting there going, wow, they're spending a lot of time near a vagina, even if a fake vagina, for PG-13.
Rated PG-13 for scenes of near vagina.
Of almost vagina. But the three nun werewolves show up. But Donnie and Jaboa. Yeah. Jeroba. I can never get it straight. I
believe it is Jerboa. Is the
okay. Yeah. And with their accents, it comes out like Jaboa. Jaboa. Yeah. They've escaped. They've actually left the party already after the coitus. So the nuns are too late, but they show up, and the director sees three people in nun costumes, and then we turn and he goes, "You guys look great." Yeah. And the camera turns around and we see their werewolf snouts because they've also kind of changed.
Very bad looking werewolf snouts. We should.
Okay, we need to say this just about when we see actual werewolves in this movie, what their werewolves look like. Oh, you know how I said that in the first Howling? It's like that is some great makeup and it's shot well because they know that there's some weaknesses with it, but it looks great. Except for I always had a problem with the big pointy ears because they were way too rabbit-like. Yeah. Well, this movie decided to keep those.
We're starting with the ears.
Big pointy rabbit ears. But here's the thing. This is knockoff of that makeup. These are snouted werewolves. There's nothing moving. So it's just a big headpiece and this furry body. And the headpiece is so poorly done. It does look like fucking paper mache. And in the case of the nuns here, they have their habits on, so we're not seeing the ears, but it's just their normal faces with these latex snouts put on, and they look like cartoons. Yeah. They look like something that would have shown up at the end of Roger Rabbit. Like if they had, when they exposed Judge Doom, this would be if they exposed, wolf people underneath a human mask.
It is bad.
It's bad, but they come into the party, and then apparently they go batshit and must start killing people.
This Benny Hill timing of them coming in and then like beat and everyone runs out.
Yeah. We really aren't seeing them rip into anybody, but apparently they started immediately tearing the place up because everyone runs out comedically.
Yeah, everyone runs out instantly. So within seconds they like bit somebody.
They must have walked in and went and one of them must have bit probably the camera guy. Yeah, and then everyone ran out. The end.
So anyway, they run out. Whatever. Who cares? The girl gets hit by Jerboa gets hit by a car here.
Yeah.
Oh no! Yikes, Aruni. That's my Australian phrase for today.
Have we gone to the ballet yet?
No, not yet. We'll get there.
Okay.
Because instead, because this is going to set in motion. Finally, is going to bring together the professor and this plot, right? Because when she gets taken to the hospital, they're going, well, her anatomy is pretty unusual, and that places the call to Professor, who I want to call Professor Farnsworth, but of course that's from Futurama.
No, he's Oh Jesus, he's the last name that they keep saying.
Yeah, it's
God damn it.
Beckmeyer.
Beckmeyer.
Beckmeyer, you better get down here. I think we've got a werewolf.
Yep.
I think we've got a werewolf. So,
And here's the thing also bugs me is that when he starts examining her and everyone's fascinated by her anatomy,
yeah.
he keeps calling it like this is an alien species.
Yes.
And I know that alien really does just mean other, outsider.
I would have used, if I was writing this, I would have said inhuman or something like that.
Yes,
or
inhuman, but they keep saying
extra-human.
genetic mutation.
Yeah.
They keep saying, and later on they say we were men, and then we mated with the wolf spirit or whatever, and we became werewolves. And you're like, okay, so these are all acceptable. But every time they say alien, you start thinking, do they think they're extraterrestrials?
Yeah, my ancestors were wolf fuckers. What are you gonna do? Those were some sexy ass wolves back then, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
There's a musician named Dan Byrne, and one of songs off of a solo album of his was "Aliens Came and Fucked the Monkey. They fucked the monkey." He's doing this thing about that's the explanation for humans and their growth. He's being satirical, but I always think aliens came and fucked the monkey. They fucked the monkey.
They did. So the nuns arrive at the hospital.
Yeah.
Because they seem like such a threat throughout the movie, and then they kind of disappear
for a while, and then they come back
at the very end. Yeah.
Yeah. But essentially, they're hot on her tail.
Yeah.
And the people examining her also say she's got a pouch like a marsupial, and there's a lot of hormone production down there, and they go, she's in the early stages of pregnancy. This is very important.
Well, because this is where he's asking, he goes, so you're her boyfriend? To Donnie. He's like, yeah. It's like, and you two had sex? Like, well, yeah?
Yeah.
Was the sex normal? And he's like,
yes, that's right.
What
that's
the fuck are you asking me? Like whips and chains and shit or what? And he goes, yeah, it was normal. It was normal sex. Okay, well.
Did she let you do butt stuff?
Come on, man. How far did you get? This is from my own personal notes. But this is where he goes, well, because
this has nothing to do with my study. I can just tell you that.
Her anatomy is very unusual, and she's pregnant, and yet, she's pregnant and about to give birth within hours, I think is what they said.
Yeah.
And he goes, and it's very likely it's yours. And I just want this guy to be like, whoa, that's a lot to take in. No, he doesn't. He pretty quickly is like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and well, because he knows she's a werewolf, and he knows, I guess, that there's a pouch involved. So I guess he's like, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
daddy to a wolf baby. But also, I think here, don't they say, do you know anything else about her? At some point, he does say, all I know is she came from a little town called Flo, because that's the only clue that anthropologists and everybody will have.
Can someone get me a mirror?
Oh, Jesus. A little town called Flo. You mean wolf backwards?
Oh,
shit.
Oh, wait, this all adds up. So anyway, they go back to her hospital room. Several people are dead. She's gone. The nuns have taken her. And so we go back to Flo, where they're doing some weird werewolf shit. I don't know. I just wrote down weird ritual with werewolf cult. They're dancing around and stuff.
Yeah, I think they're getting ready to welcome the new pup.
And then before we have that birth scene, after we see a little bit of this cult ritual, now we go to Russia with the ballet. And this is where we meet our ballerina, Olga.
But aren't they already in Australia? They're going to be performing.
I guess that's what it is. They're the Russian ballet. Though.
They are Russian ballet, but they're in Australia at the Sydney Opera House. That makes sense. But it's like in the green room. They're watching the news about werewolves or something.
I mean, this was the point when I got really lost when I cut to this because we've never seen any of these characters before.
I know.
And it's like 45 minutes into the movie. I'm going, whoa, okay.
Yeah, we don't know what this is about. But so they're watching this, and it's maybe he seems to be singing opera.
Yeah.
But there's a male.
Yeah.
And then the woman, and the woman's a ballerina, Russian ballerina.
Olga Gorky is her name, the character's name.
and she is really turned on by a drawing of the main werewolf guy, Australian werewolf guy.
You want to talk about this poor actress, her having to play aggressively horny to this drawing?
Oh God,
boy.
It's so disturbing.
She's like, oh my God.
And it's even more disturbing when she finally meets him and basically mounts him, and you're like, God damn it. And anyway, the guy is kind of jealous, even though he's also a werewolf. He's like, I don't know what you see in him. She goes, it's not about that. I'm just drawn to him. We have to get together.
This fat
He's
little
so
bald
powerful.
guy.
This fat bald guy is the head of the Australian werewolves, the marsupial werewolves.
You know, my celebrity crush has always been Curly from the Three Stooges.
Yeah. So she's like, oh God, he is so hot. I can't wait to meet him.
I hope he dances around on the ground and goes whoop, 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 whoop.
So the only reason that okay, so you wrote the notes.
Yes.
Does it go to? Because I can't remember why anthropologist guy ends up going to the ballet in the first place. Other than the fact that these are Russians.
First, we get the werewolf change here because they go out to rehearse or whatever when she's dancing.
But he sees it from the audience. He's watching this as it happens.
Oh, I guess he just enters, and I don't think we get a reason then, because my notes just say this then happened. So I think he just literally walks in.
I think it's just because they are Russians.
Yeah, I don't think
and
they
there's
give us
that Siberian werewolf connection. So anthropologist and the government guy are both there watching the rehearsal.
Boy, they walked in at the right time, right? Like,
boy, did they! During the rehearsal, Russian werewolf lady. Is it the lights again? She spins around. Oh, it's the spinning around and the bright lights of the stage.
And that makes the flashing
Turn her
effect.
into a werewolf.
And boy, this looks bad. When she, I mean, you talk about, boy, this was the scene where I go, I really want MST3K or Riff Tracks to get on this movie because it really feels like that quality. Because this only thing werewolf mask that appears on her is so bad.
And the stages they do where it looks like terrible cosplay for half a second, where she has the ears sticking up and like some tufts of hair at her jaws. And this poor actress, I hope they paid her well because it is ludicrous what she looks like. And then it's a werewolf in a ballet outfit tearing people apart. Actually, a lot of the dancers are smart. The second she starts to change, they scream and run off. But there's that one male partner who, for some reason, he just so caught up in leaping, he's missed all this because he ends up leaping right into her hands and she tears him apart.
That's my cue.
It's done with a fisheye lens. They love doing the fisheye lens. And he's like, in mid-leap.
No! Yeah.
As she grabs
him. He started his leap so happy, and then as he's coming down from the leap, he's like, a werewolf! Terrible.
I failed to mention the one part of this movie that actually I did laugh out loud. There was one part, and I don't think it was intentionally funny, but it was during the fight in the hospital when the nuns take care of everybody. They shove that one guy out the window, and it's a dummy being dropped from a very high hospital window, and they decided, let's go ahead and show the full fall. It's not give the audience the impression.
I believe that happens later in the movie.
Oh, maybe that happens later, but it's literally a 20-something second scene of this dummy falling out the window, and it's just so incompetent. I was laughing. I was like going, well, thank God we got all of it. We got our money's worth with that dummy being thrown out the window.
Yes,
because there's another hospital scene.
It's the next scene because they take this ballerina werewolf woman and bring her to the lab.
But her male compatriot follows.
Yes,
and he's the surprise werewolf.
Yes, and he's the one who throws the guy off the roof, not the nuns.
Oh yeah, there you go.
He throws.
Well, I think he throws him out the window.
Oh yeah, sorry, yes, he throws him out the window. But it feels like the roof based on how far we watch him fall. Jesus Christ.
That's a very tall hospital, and good Lord. Yeah, it just goes on for 5 minutes.
I mean, Hans Gruber didn't fall this far, man.
Nope. Oh, my God.
But it is weird that they still cut to that shot from Die Hard where the guy goes, God, I hope that wasn't one of the hostages. You're like, wait, what?
You know what would be awesome? Is to take that that footage of Kelsey Grammer taking the piler off of that Disney stage where he actually had that huge accident, and then edit in that guy going, God, I hope that wasn't one of the hostages.
I mean, that could just be a whole runner, right, of different things of people falling.
Different people falling.
And it's just that guy. Well, I'm blanking on his name because he was also the principal in The Breakfast Club, that actor.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. That
actor. Who played 80s douchebag bosses and stuff forever.
He was one of the best at
But
doing
just every day, God, I hope that wasn't one of the hostages.
Oh my God, you could put it into Jackass sketches. You could put it into Tony Hawk.
There's literally no limit almost to what you could do with that.
All right.
I will
just
say,
giving the world a meme.
If I was a TikToker or something like that, I would do that. But I'm not. So if somebody take that up, though, please.
Credit us, though. Yeah. Credit us.
Yeah.
Because that'll get us all the money.
That's the key right there. It's what we've been waiting for, baby. So yeah. So he gets tossed off. By the way, who is this guy, by the way? He's like another guy. There's just another guy involved at this point.
There are various like military and whatever people that show up.
You've got the professor and his main like government agent contact. But then this is like a third guy. He's wearing a trench, because I say trench coat guy thrown out of building. Like, yeah, I don't know. He's wearing a trench coat.
For half a second, I thought it was the anthropologist because he was also wearing a coat.
I had to back it up to make sure. I'm like, okay, the anthropologist is wearing like a white lab coat. But from this, okay, it's a brown trench coat being tossed.
Yeah, it's a different guy.
Yeah, but it is confusing. The movie is very poorly made if you're not figuring this out. So anyway, though,
newsflash.
The professor now rolls up. He goes to Flo. With doesn't he go there with the wolf, the ballerina wolf woman, and the government agent guy?
He does. Also, basically, they had told Donnie, the boyfriend guy, your part in this is done or whatever. She's gone. But they do this very stupid thing. It's just so obvious. It's like they show the anthropologist in the Jeep driving towards Flo, and then they show behind the bushes Donnie, the boyfriend, with like field glasses, binoculars, watching that. And I'm like, if you know where they're going, because you know the name of the town.
Yeah.
Why are you watching them as if you're needing to follow them? No, also, if you were following them, why wouldn't you be behind them? Because you obviously got here first and are now watching them go into Flo.
He's running recon for his infiltration op he's about to do here. What the hell is any of this? Yeah.
No, it makes no sense. And then when they get to that town, there's like some sort of checkpoint, like it's like where you're not supposed to go, and there's a military guy's like, your purpose going into it, and they're like going, well, actually, we're here to take down a whole mess of lycanthropes, werewolves. And the guy's like, yeah, whatever, and lets them in.
Meanwhile,
like, why is the government locked this place off if it wasn't for werewolves? What is this about?
It's an unrelated issue. Meanwhile, Jerboa has run off from the main camp into the barn to give birth
because
in
it's
the
time
hay.
to give birth. Mm-hmm.
And boy, is this a long sequence of her giving birth to this weird little creature.
Okay. Yeah, it's gross. It's supposed to be kind of.
Yeah.
But we're seeing lots of close-ups of the very furry
does this guy think
lower
he's
half
making,
of her.
Does this guy think he's making like a Cronenberg movie here? Because it doesn't work.
Here it does feel like that.
It's not as good, obviously, but
she opens the pouch herself.
Yeah.
To prepare it, and this finger puppet.
Oh God. It's nonstop puppets from here out, man.
Oh my God, the finger puppet puppy.
Yeah.
Is gross.
Yep.
And it crawls up the fur, and then she shoves it in the pouch, and it's all happy, and she's like cooing because it's her kid.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And this is about the time that Donnie shows up, and she goes, "Look, this is."
She finds him.
Yeah. Well, she leaves.
He's at like a little.
She leaves the barn, right? And
he's at like a little lake or a little creek, and she finds him, and he's like, "Oh my God, there you are!" And how'd you find me? And she goes, "I sensed you.
Yeah,
I knew you were nearby.
Oh God, yeah.
Let me introduce you to your kid." And he is all giddy. He's all happy.
She even says, she goes, "You don't find any? You're not put off by this?" He's like, "Nope." Not at all.
No,
I'm 100% in on everything happening here.
Also, it's 15 minutes probably after the birth, and it's already bigger.
Yes,
That's the
yeah.
thing. This thing grows at a crazy rate. It
Yeah.
has a little snout.
It's a boy. She tells him it's their son.
God.
Our son. Meanwhile, the military wants to move in on the wolf camp, though.
Yeah, they totally buy it. But actually, anthropologist guy gets there first. This is where we meet the Aboriginal guy that we like.
Yeah. Does he have a name?
He's not.
He has to have a name, right?
I'm sure he does.
I'm not seeing.
Yeah, they give him a name. I can't remember what it is.
No, I have no idea what it is. I'm not seeing it here in the credits. Because the cult leader guy, the werewolf leader guy, that's Thylo.
Which is a stupid joke.
Yeah.
Thylo, because what is it? The name of the Tasmanian wolf, which is extinct.
Yeah.
Which they make a big point of, is called a thylacine something or other is its scientific name.
Oh, okay, I got him. Burnham as Kendi.
Kendi, yes.
That's it, yeah. This is one of 6 things he ever appeared in.
Well, again, he's not a great actor, but he gives it his all.
He's doing something, though. He's got energy that nobody else has.
He does. And he's also, even though the werewolf community seems to they don't like outsiders, there's like 2 people in this werewolf community. One of them is an old dude, and this guy who is also old, but he is an old Aborigine dude. They seem to be the gatekeepers, and they're like, what are you guys looking for? You throw another shrimp on the barbecue? Like, they keep people up at the front. Meanwhile, the werewolves are all back there having their cult activities and whatever.
I thought,
they're barbecue.
Sorry, I was looking at these guys, and Thylo, who's he did look familiar to me, and now I do see he was in the first 2 Mad Max movies as like a goon henchman.
Yeah,
of the bad guy.
because he's an enormously built dude.
He looked familiar, and then when I see what he
bald.
was, I'm going like, oh, that's why he looked familiar, because I remember him as one of the guys who fights Mel Gibson in those movies. You know, like yeah. So, just watch Mad Max. It's so much better.
Any day.
Yeah,
any day.
I mean any of them. You watch any of them.
Yeah,
they're all great, and they're all better than this. And also,
we don't need another Howling.
We don't need another Howling.
Sing it, Tina.
Yeah, except they didn't listen to Tina because we get 4 more of these things.
So I guess.
Though Philippe Mora is no longer involved from this, thank God.
I don't remember how it happens or when. It's probably around here.
Well, he's trying to reason with the army, the professor, going like, "No, listen, we can learn from them. You don't have to shoot everybody." And they're like,
"Right,
nah."
But also during this, Thylo finally meets Russian lady, and they start to humping. Basically immediately
they start to humping, man. I'll tell you that right now. As much humping
she
as you get in a
aboard him, and he's like, "Oh, this is pretty good." And all of his wives,
she says, "Permission to come aboard," and he says, "Granted."
And that is kind of what it's like.
Yeah.
And
let's see, that guy shows army busts in. Oh yeah, but then the army busts in almost immediately, and they capture Thylo and everybody here.
Yeah. Yes.
And this is where
I know that Donnie escapes with.
Well, they run off because they're at the edge of town when this commotion's happening, right? Because they're all by the lake, so they take off into the woods to escape from the army.
Jaboa and Donnie and their kid escape.
They escape, but
anthropologist and
he convinces them not to kill them, so they have Thylo in the lab later. They didn't kill him.
Right.
And this is where the ballerina woman starts giving the backstory about our people have been hunted, you know.
Right. And she also pretty much instantly is like, I don't know what came over me with humping the big bald dude. I guess that was animal instinct. Yeah. I'm over him, and I love you now, anthropologist guy.
Their love story is so jammed in. It's just like, I guess I love you now.
It's literally like, since he's out of the picture and you aren't with anybody, and you've been the actor did have scenes where he was kind of staring at her like, God, she's beautiful.
Well, because her werewolf boyfriend, he's dead from earlier,
and Thylo's at the hospital.
So I guess Professor's all that's left. Donnie's already got a girl, so
Thilo starts wolfing out at the hospital, and
Yeah.
they stop him. They don't kill him, but
Well,
they
because
stop him
he's
in
trying to make him
mid-transformation.
trans. He's trying to figure out how to do it, and so that's when he
Oh,
wolfs
they're
out. Is because
flashing
the
them with the
professor
camera.
is
Yeah.
using the flashing light because he's trying to understand them.
And his werewolf form has the stripes of the Tasmanian wolf, and that's where they're like on, it's a different kind of wolf man.
That scene of him lying on the ground but kind of just writhing there with the stripes is so dumb.
Yeah.
Also, for some reason,
it's a large, heavy-set man who's essentially naked with some fur on him.
Yeah.
So that's disturbing.
When he starts wolfing out and he's just attached with electrodes, for unknown reasons I don't understand, all the computers just start exploding.
Yeah,
He's not
it happens.
hitting them. It's just whatever information they're getting from his brain is too much, and everything starts exploding, which is great.
Well, I mean, look at that guy. You know that's some serious brain power.
It's just, it's the classic. No matter where the Enterprise is hit, all the consoles on the bridge blow up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no matter what. Oh Jesus! They gotta stop building those that way. Anyway, he wolfs out. He attacks. They trank dart him, which is when they notice the stripes.
Right.
And the government guy goes, hey, aren't you kind of worried there? He bit you. You could turn into one. He goes, no, you have to exchange bodily fluids. Let's go.
I know. I love the way they just throw this stuff out.
It's a hand wave toss off of, nah.
These people now in this world have now known that werewolves exist for about 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And they've examined exactly, 2 of them in the hospital?
Yeah.
And for not very long. Looks like maybe for just a few hours each.
Mm-hmm.
But they know everything they need to know.
Yeah.
They've already figured out everything about different kinds of werewolves.
You've got to love a movie with no interest. I mean, I understand movies are often criticized for having too much exposition, but here's a movie that has no interest in exposition at all. And it's just
until it gets shoved into a couple lines, like when we're about to find out about the big wolf spirit.
Yeah.
And we're about to find that out.
They are descended from, because they have the image of this is where they're looking at the old film of the striped Tasmanian wolf. And they're going that was the original one, and we descended from that. And they're like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, and the white man exterminated those creatures, which is true.
Sure.
And it's another message that they're trying to shoehorn into a stupid ass
that in a better movie could have worked. Comedy. I don't mind a lot of the structural ideas here, like the sort of baseline. Like we said, if you want to do the ecological message, great. Hunting
is it
extinction
Jaboa or our Aborigine friend who tells the story of the great wolf spirit to the anthropologist or Donnie? I can't even remember, but someone goes, I think it's that's folklore and it's goofy.
I think it's Kendi that tells that story later.
And it's like, that's just folklore. And it's like, no, it really happened.
Meanwhile, it's real trouble for our little wolf family out in the woods because there are hunters about. These guys come out of nowhere. And they go, hey, we should shoot them. No, wait. Let's go get reinforcements.
Yeah. They really do just come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the army is thinking about sending in, and this is what they said, an Omega team. That's better than a Delta team? Is that the idea?
I was really hoping that they would send in Delta Force.
With Lee Marvin and Chuck Norris?
Or Megaforce.
With Barry Bostwick.
Not words. Yeah, exactly. Parasis Kambata could come in and wipe the floor with them.
By the way, future episode of the Action Shelf Megaforce. We are definitely.
I might want to be in on that one.
Yeah, that one we're going to do. The Great Hal Needham.
Yeah. That, I remember being so psyched by the ads on the back of the comics when that came out.
Oh, that movie.
This looks awesome.
Everything about that movie says that would be a movie advertising comic books. The only thing I see about an Omega team comes from Halo, so it's bullshit. Because it's a Delta team would be what it is. But these guys are even better. They're Omega. And because isn't this where the professor's like, that hardly seems necessary? Isn't that a bit overkill? And by the way, when we see the quote unquote Omega team, it's 2 guys in camouflage with machine guns. That's the Omega team.
Yeah, and they're clearly kind of American military, and they have one of the stupidest action sequences in the entire film, which is saying something.
Is it ever?
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We're not there yet.
So anyway, the professor does bust out from their jail cells. The Olga and Thylo, right?
Yeah.
Because now the cops are after him, and it leads to the lamest of car chases.
Yep. And plus, what's so funny to me is, why is this a car chase anyway? Again, we know where they're going.
Yeah.
They're going to go back to Flow.
What?
And there's already military people in Flow.
I know.
So let's not worry too much about chasing anybody anywhere.
I don't follow any of this, man.
Oh God, this movie.
Yeah, I know, right? So they get anyway though. They get away. Let's see. The oh yeah, this is where the tribesman is talking about the ominous dream he had, and then we get the explanation of the origins of the wolf spirit, which we talked about. Right.
And when the military finally starts closing in, I'm probably jumping ahead a bit, but our Aborigine friend puts on the tribal makeup.
Yep.
Does a ceremony to call the spirit into him.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, does Thylo do this first?
It's Thylo.
Okay, but they both do it. But Thylo does it first. Yeah. Okay. Thylo paints himself. No, I think Aborigine guy does it first.
Let's see what I have written down here. No, you're right. He does it first, then Thylo does it.
Right. So Aborigine guy calls the wolf spirit into him, and they both use the same terminology when they do the same spell. And it's just like they have the name of the spirit, whatever it is like gobbity goobity.
Yeah.
Come into me. Yeah. Help me change.
Yeah.
It's like, help me change? Really? Anyway,
Kendi gets shot here by the hunters, but the rest of the people get away from them, right?
Right. So essentially, once
everybody's in the woods now. The professor, everybody, they're out there now.
Right.
They're all together.
Aborigine guy has sacrificed himself, but he turned into the big wolf.
Yeah.
Long enough to get blown up.
Yeah.
But it delayed the military so everyone could escape.
Oh, no. The scene. No. He doesn't get blown up. He gets shot. The big wolf getting blown up is later in a very, very stupid scene. That's Thylo.
Oh, right. Right, but I'm not to that yet. All right, this guy gets shot.
Yeah.
So, but he does. Oh, and then they burn his body. That's the
what
they burn his
Well,
body.
first we get the death scene of him bleeding out and saying so, and then they burn his body, which then leads to the Omega Force.
This is what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
All right. So when he got shot, he turned back into himself, human.
Yeah.
They burn him as poor dead Aborigine guy who wasn't in this movie long enough. We loved him.
Kendi, we needed more Kendi.
I'm always hashtag more Kendi, but he
that's
became
really trending these days too. Yeah,
kindling.
Mm-hmm.
They burn him up, and but when Omega Force, the two guys, come across him,
that's how good they are. They only need two. Yeah,
a burned human skeleton.
Yeah,
but with a wolfish head, skull.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
Nope. What makes even less sense is when he pops up back to life as the skeleton and starts killing these guys.
The skeleton suddenly has animated eyes that pop open. Yeah. Luckily, they knew that looked shitty, so they immediately cut away from that. But then they seem
this looks bad. Get out.
Then they have a really bad marionette version of just a skeleton kind of grabbing at the Omega guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, ah! And then they fire a fucking rocket into... they use like... fucking bazooka and fire a rocket.
That's later.
These guys blow the skeleton up.
They do, but they just machine gun it to pieces.
Okay, they machine gun it.
And the thing is like exploding apart because it's still charred bone, so it's just blowing. It does kind of blow up upon being hit by bullets.
It's ridiculous overkill.
The rocket launcher is later, which is incredibly stupid.
Yes, but also since it is just the two of them, it's ridiculous overkill. And they look like bumbling idiots.
Yeah. And this
like,
is
the skeleton. Oh!
From what the movie tells me, this is the entirety of the dreaded Omega team.
Yeah, Mega Team.
Yeah. So they're dead. So then Thylo prays to change. Now I guess enraged by Kendi's death, he's like, "Make me the spirit of the wolf."
And he's put on the same makeup. He says the same thing. Help me change.
Yeah. So he does that. So then we have this guy, I guess the leader of the general guy, right? And he's in his tent and he hears something outside. He picks up his rifle and then he's like, "No, wait." Puts the rifle down. Picks up a fucking rocket launcher and holds that. But he holds it up like you would a rifle, aiming into the front of the tent.
Wait, that's not how it works?
It shouldn't. It's not really a close range weapon. And this big wolf head comes in, and
I learned a lot on this podcast.
This really made me laugh because this wolf head comes in. He doesn't shoot it.
It's just this frozen thing going
and just and he explodes. The wolf explodes. Everything. There's fires in the sky. And I mean, like
yeah.
He didn't have to die.
Does just blow himself the fuck up.
He point blank shoots this werewolf with a rocket launcher.
Also, what made me laugh was Aborigine guy gave his life so those guys could escape. Everyone could escape.
Yeah.
Maybe not the smartest thing if you're on the run to then build a funeral pyre. I kept thinking like, wow, that smoke is visible for miles.
Though it actually worked out because it brought those soldiers there who then got the skeleton after him, I guess. Maybe that was always the
Luckily, no one else calls the great wolf spirit into themselves for the rest of the movie.
No.
Because that doesn't work out so well for anybody.
And then for some reason, the government agent guy is now back talking to the president going, well, here's what happened in Australia with the wolves.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to... Oh, we're getting into even more ludicrous territory with huge time jumps.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but this is, I think, the first scene, then we go to huge time jumps. Which the end of this movie covers, what, 20-some-odd years? I don't know.
Well, according to the trivia there, they're like going, based on calculations, if this is happening actually in 87, it goes, the end of this movie is in 2020.
Yeah, the end of this, it's now the past for us, but was distant future then, so he tells the president about the situation. And another pointless scene with the president, who's now using like the weightlifting machine with the bar.
Yes, now he's actually in the gym. He is working out.
I see there. That's the situation with the wolves, eh? Well,
by the way, I'm totally American.
Yep, I guess we should call the military off there. Sounds like that didn't go well. I don't know.
Yeah, essentially what happens is now it's no longer a secret, but we're about to get to that. There's the exposition.
Yeah.
So we cut after the president going, well, okay.
Yeah.
And then they
it's a few years later when we cut back because now it's like a toddler.
But it could be just the next week with the way these things grow.
This is true.
But the two happy little families are living together. So you got Donnie and Jerboa with their son, who's now like looks like he's like 3. He's walking around, and you've got anthropologists with Russian ballet and their daughter, who's a little infant, and they're living just out in the bush.
They've made a life for themselves out here.
They made a life for themselves.
But then the next scene is a few years after that, and Jerboa goes, "Yeah, we're gonna move back to the city," and they're like, "What? They'll kill you there." No, it's fine. We'll just change our identities. It'll be cool. Yeah.
So they move off. They're done.
Then we
jump even farther
because now the professor.
Now the professor's daughter is like looks like she's in her 20s.
Yeah, and they have but they also have a toddler with them too. So they've
had another.
Yeah, they've waited like 25 years, and then although we don't know how fast these kids are aging once again.
That's true. They could have waited a long time.
This all happens in actually like a month. No.
Because he's gotten kind of gray, but Ballerina Lady looks exactly the same. Just like Jerboa looks exactly the same in 2020.
This is where his government agent friend comes out to them and goes, "Hey, I've got good news. We're not hunting lycanthropes anymore. It's all
the thing
over."
Is so okay. They're doing this because they even do the cute little line where they're doing the whole Livingston, the Dr. Livingston, I presume, because the government guy says Dr. Beckmeyer, I presume, because he's looked for him for years. He's found him. He gets his joke off, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's you, my old government friend." So essentially, he has gone native and it's taken the government guy years to find him.
Yeah.
So now he's like going, you can come back and rejoin society because guess what? I'm filling you in. It's like finding those Japanese soldiers who didn't know that World War II was over.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, the world knows all about the lycanthropes. No one's hunting them anymore. It's totally fine. Come on back.
Yeah.
And he goes,
they
okay.
They
great.
do. Cut to even later, and our Jerboa and Donnie are now fucking cool cat Hollywood insiders.
Donnie is okay. The actor who played Donnie, who we've talked about, is youngish guy.
Yeah.
And here he's supposed to have been aged up. So they have drawn on a couple of lines.
Yeah.
They've done a little silver in his hair, and he's got a
big old
fake mustache on that looks
man.
a lot like the professor's. And he's a successful director now.
He's
and
Donnie's trying to rock the Magnum PI look here, and it's not.
He's
working.
trying really hard.
Yeah.
And he changed his name to something that's like Steven Spielberg, but isn't.
Yeah. It's Jewish, whatever it is, though. Very Jewish.
He's a successful director, and his wife, who also changed her name, is a successful actress who's getting tired of being made sexy in the movies.
Yeah. Why must everything be about sex? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just going like, can this movie just be over? Like, why are we
And also,
watching any
here's
of
the
this?
thing. If they went back and started that career, and now Donnie's older, she hasn't aged, and she has a son that she also talks about on the award ceremony. So they know that her son is in his 20s or something like that because we see him in just a bit.
Yeah.
So is there any surprise she's superhuman? There shouldn't be. She looks exactly the same. She hasn't aged, and she has a 23-year-old son.
Whatever. It's Hollywood, man. That probably wouldn't actually read that strangely.
So here's the thing. Professor and his wife are living the nice life in a nice house
in California because he's teaching at the University of California. Do they specify where, or does it just say University of California?
I thought they gave the college a name, but I can't remember.
I think it says University of Cal, but I'm saying, like, is it Cal Berkeley? Is it, the University of
don't
California has a few. I think it just says University of California.
Well, how about you get off my ass for once?
Brendan, you told me you knew these answers.
But after he's given, I guess there's only one thing this guy has ever taught, and that is his family's personal experience with lycanthropes.
He's doing the same fucking lecture from the start of the movie.
He's showing that 1905 film again.
Oh, man.
But he's like going, and then I found them and joined them, and I knocked one of them up.
It all worked out, baby.
And the class files out, but one guy is left behind, and this guy is even worse of an actor than the black guy at the beginning.
Just when you think there can't be a worse actor in this movie, meet this guy.
This guy is a handsome blonde guy in his 20s, and he goes, you look familiar. Have I met you before? The professor says, and the guy goes, yes, you have, but it's been quite a while.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. He goes, really? He goes, yes, you knew my parents. I am the son of Jerboa and Donnie. It's like, what? Great. They made it? Yeah. Yes, they changed their names and are very successful.
Well, how does he not know this, though, by the way? I mean, like, they're back living in California, and they're apparently, like, the biggest deal in the film industry.
Right, exactly.
When you've seen a poster or something with her face on it.
When he says their new names, he goes, oh, my God, I know of them. Well, then, Jerboa looks exactly the same.
They didn't change their faces exactly.
Anthropologist goes, I am afraid of looking at movie posters, and I haven't seen a film since this one from 1905.
Yet I believe I have heard those names somewhere.
And the anthropologist goes, I'm so glad they're okay. Mm-hmm. And he goes, yes. He goes, I'd love to see them. He goes, well, you certainly can tonight on TV.
Yeah, because they're having the movie awards.
Oh my God. Did you write down what the awards were called?
I didn't. I wish I did. They're weird, though. They're
weird. It's like the Academy of Digital and Laser Production Awards.
Because it's
like
the future,
right? In the title.
Because it's the future, right? Isn't that the
idea?
It's
because it's the future.
I think that's
what the fuck.
Well, because everybody's wearing these matching like orange and red shirts in the class too, which is also very futuristic.
Man, their attempts to make this futuristic did not land with me. I was just like, what's going on with this nonsense?
Oh, by the way, her new name is Loretta Carson, and his
Loretta
famous
Carson.
director name is Sully Spellingberg.
There you go.
Good Lord.
I hate this movie so much. We're almost done. So, So she wins an award, Jaboa does, and anthropologist and his wife are at home going, "Oh, she looks amazing. Oh, that's so good for her." They're watching this on
Mm-hmm.
TV.
Then
Is it the son there with them, or is it their
no,
daughter?
it's
Someone's
their
with them.
daughter with them. Yeah, I think it's
Okay,
not the
right.
son. But yeah, then oh no, the press is taking pictures of her having won the award. Now, okay, now hold on here. She
I
is
know
one
exactly.
of the
I
most
know.
famous actors in the world.
I
And you're
know.
telling me she's
I know.
not constantly being photographed?
I
This
know.
is the first
I
time
know.
this has happened? What
I know.
in the hell is anyone doing here?
I know. So Dame Edna is the
Oh,
presenter
yeah,
of
yeah.
this award.
Yeah, lest we forget Dame
and
Edna's amazing performance in this.
it it goes to Jaboa. She gets the award, and she looks gorgeous. And as she's giving her acceptance speech, and the cameras are snapping.
Oh, by the way, did you
and
notice
by
how tiny it's like a tiny little Oscar that they give her?
yes, she the bright lights of the flashes make her start snapping those jaws again.
Oh
And she
yeah.
turns into a terrible looking werewolf on camera. And meanwhile, they keep cutting to the anthropologist and his wife at home going, "Oh, that's a shame. Oh, too bad. Uh-oh."
Oh, okay, I've got it. Yeah. The 82nd Annual Academy of Laser Arts and Sciences Awards.
Laser Arts and Sciences. That's futuristic.
I guess the idea is that movies aren't on film anymore, they're on laser.
So basically, that is the whole ending is supposed to be like this callback to the original Howling because she's exposed as a werewolf. And everyone is freaking out on stage. Werewolves have been known for 20 years. And as you said, you're telling me the world's greatest actress has not had cameras snapped at her in 20 some odd years?
Constantly. Also, though, that's not quite the end because that happens. And then for no reason, it comes to Alfred Hitchcock and he goes, cut. And then credits.
Oh, right.
What?
Quick cut to the fictional director who did survive that party.
Yeah.
But for some reason, him going, cut.
By the way, apparently that character's name is Jack Citron.
Yeah, let's go with that.
No, now I'm on the horror film wiki, which is where I'm getting more detailed information, and I may use this from now on. Actually,
as your pseudonym when you check into hotels.
The horror film wiki.
No.
Oh, Jack Citron.
Jack Citron.
Yeah, Jack Citron. Well, people will
that.
mob me, but yeah, I've just discovered this horror film wiki, and this may be a resource for future episodes here. This movie's terrible. Anyway, that's the end of the movie, and it's awful. Do not watch this.
This is it is one of the worst we have seen, and it does make me angrier.
This is
than
in the
Frankenstein
bottom 5.
Island because Frankenstein Island is exactly what you're getting in for.
It is
and it's
worse
stupid.
Though, but it is not as infuriating.
I Frankenstein.
It is objectively worse, but it's not as it's not as anger inducing as this one is. This is on par with Boy Who Cried Werewolf, I think.
Yeah, that makeup, which I thought was terrible. This is the worst werewolf makeup I think we've seen,
unquestionably. Yeah, no doubt about that. Jesus.
And this is years later. They couldn't do better. This is
well, and I mean, of course, the sad thing is, and while they're not like direct sequels necessarily, the fact that we started at The Howling, which had some incredible makeup, the fact that we're down to this in something still called The Howling is pretty bad. And I think this is it for us and Philippe Mora.
Let's pray. Let's pray it is.
Yeah. I think that's it for us. Yeah, the only 3 movies. Yeah, I see. There's only 3 horror films listed here. We did not do The Beast Within, which he did direct as well, because it's not really a werewolf movie. So yeah, so that's it for us and old Philippe there, and not impressed, man.
I hated this. This.
Yeah, same here. This is truly atrocious. Which is why we get a palate cleanser if I've ever seen one next week, Brendan.
What is next week?
Well, we're going back to the world of vampires in Near Dark.
Oh my God!
One of my absolute favorite vampire movies. Maybe
that is
in the running.
Eternal sunshining of this.
Maybe in the running for my favorite vampire movie. That's really.
It is just.
That is good
that
stuff.
is a visceral vampire movie that really breaks it down. And also, I do love movies where, I mean, even Lost Boys a little bit leans into gothic tropes of vampires. I do love the idea of vampires aren't European nobles. They don't always have to be guys. This is literally backwoods redneck vampires, and I love that.
Love it. Love it, man. Great cast, great directing from Catherine Bigelow. Oh,
Yep.
we'll have a great time talking about that. So, we get a little reprieve there for a
I'm all for it.
legitimately great movie. So that'll be next week on the show, but that's going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
And you can see them tonight on television because they won an award.